morning, members of the Long Point Bay community. Good to be with you again. We're going to look this morning at Matthew's parable, the parable of the workers for the vineyard. Simple parable. A landowner goes out to find workers to work in his vineyard. He goes out about 6 in the morning, early, and to the place where the workers would gather to be hired for the day. The landowner picks some people and sends them into his vineyard. He goes out later in the day at 9 o'clock and picks some more and sends them. There's nothing in the parable that explains why he goes out several times through the day, but he does. And twice in the course of that day, comments on the idleness of the workers. As a matter of fact, as he goes out at the end of the day to pick more workers, he says to the workers, "Why are you standing around idle all day?" He really, in effect, is blaming those workers for being idle. The workers' response to him is real simple. "Because nobody's hired us, dummy." The vineyard owner really has, by implication, blamed people for their own idleness. Just a couple days ago, I'm driving and coming back from the pharmacy, and on the street corner there's a stoplight, and I had to stop because it was red. And on the corner is somebody with a sign, and I'm virtually sure that every single one of us have had this experience. It says a little bit about their distress, their financial circumstances, and asking for assistance. And knee-jerk reaction, I thought, why are you standing here on a street corner asking for a handout? Sure to God, there are better ways to better your financial circumstances than this. And as I drove off, I thought, dipstick, you did just what that landowner did. You blamed that person standing on that street corner as the author of their own circumstances. You have no idea why or how they need to stand on that corner and ask for assistance. All you know is that that's where they are. It really suddenly left me wondering how often we look at people who are poor, people who are marginalized, and in some way, shape, or form blame them for their own circumstances. And I had to kick myself proverbially in the butt for even thinking it. I, of all people, ought to know better than that. Have I found myself in those kinds of circumstances? Absolutely I have. By choosing? No. By lack of initiative? No. But by circumstances that were beyond my control. How can we respond better than blaming people for circumstances that, as far as we know, are not within their control? And I don't have a real simple answer for a complex situation. I guess the only thing that I'm reminded is that at the very least, we need to respond out of compassion. And how does that then manifest itself? I can't say in any particular given circumstance, but a response of compassion, which is two words, compassio, to suffer with, that I place myself in that person's circumstances, in their shoes. I don't blame, I feel the pain, and in the midst of that identifying with, I ask myself, what can I do? How can I help? How can I make it even a little bit better than it already is? I guess by extension and linked, when it comes time to vote, that one of the things that I think about are people like those standing on the street corner, people who are marginalized, not by choice, not by anything that they wanted or picked, but simply by circumstances that were beyond their control. And when I vote and when I choose leadership, I choose leadership that will lead with compassion, lead in ways that will help others, not just me. And I guess, especially in those times of choice, looking at the system and saying this is a systemic problem. And it's a very real systemic problem. And I may not have the answer, but I know that I need to make choices that are compassionate choices, choices that look to help people who are standing on those street corners, that offer some possibility for some relief, some solution, as small as it might be, something that is filled with compassion. It comes out of suffering with and understanding being in those circumstances. That's always what Jesus has done and asks us to do.